So I have this one. How do we do this? Yeah, okay. So what is, oh, okay, so that's 10. And that part's 8. Yeah. O to M. From O to M, I don't think you can say that. That's 4 now. I think you would have to find that. Because it's the midpoint. So any idea how could you find the length O to M? So you could, let's just, these will all be the same. So you could find any length from like O to any corner, any vertex, and use that. So any idea how to find, or let's say, what would be the angle in the center? So they'll add up to 360. Yeah. Yep. What would you have to do to get to do something here? So for this one, I think you'd have to use the cosine rule. because it involves two sides and the angle between the two. So I think they give you that on the formula sheet. Minus 2bc. So how would you use that to find like O to B or O to C? Yeah, so what's there? No, so this will work. This is just this triangle down here, the blue one. And no, cosine rule gives you the side opposite the angle, and so the a squared is usually the answer, but it's actually, in this case, they've given you that, so it's 8. And it's these two that are B and C. Because this is in the middle, they're actually both going to be the same. So you could call that B squared plus B squared or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you have to solve it from there. Yeah. How would you do that? So I think simplify everything first. Mm-hmm. Cos 72. So you're trying to get, B equals. How would you go about that? That would what might help is if you factorize out B squared. Yeah. Okay. What will be next? Yeah. So that's doing it all in one go. No mistakes. Yeah. So yeah, square root of your answer for that. And a shift. No, not shift. Square root of that. 2.406. Okay, so that's the distance for those like two blue lines to B and B, and because that's the midpoint in the middle, that will be the same as from O to M. So you have to, we're aiming to find the angle APM. Right. So APM, so we're trying to find the angle at the top. So how could we find, let's say, OPM, that angle? Yeah. Yeah. So this is the angle we're trying to find. Let's just call it P. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Over 10. Let's say 13.5. Okay, so that's that red angle, and we wanted APM. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. 27.1 degrees. Yeah, so this was a tricky bit. If you have got two sides and the angle between them, it's cosine rule. And this was cosine rule in reverse because they gave you this and you had to sub it in and rearrange. These are all going to be the same. It's like a radius in a circle. So midpoint to the vertex, it's the same. And so that's B, and it's just about working it out. A tricky one. Is that one all right? Okay, so let's see this. Okay. So how about this one? Just start from the top. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can just, do that, write that down, and then just put it into your calculator. So what do you get? Yeah, so 3 minus minus 8, 3 plus 8, 11. How about B? So a specific way of doing these. So replace the f of x with a y. Swap x and y. Make y the subject, and then replace y with the inverse of x. So how would you do that? Mm-hmm. So that's the replace the f of x with y. So instead of f of x equals, it's y equals 3 minus 2x. So I literally just replace f of x with a y. It just makes it a bit easier. And then step 2. No, just literally y becomes x. That becomes x becomes y. And now make it, rearrange to make it y equals. Yeah. Equals y. And then last step. Yeah. That's it. So basically all you do, I mean, the big picture of what you did was you, instead of it being y equals, you make it x equals. So you just kind of put it the other way around. So instead of, x times by minus 2 and then plus 3, it is in the reverse order minus 3 and divide by minus 2. And that's called the inverse, because it kind of, you could start with, brings you back to where you started. Okay. and then this composite function. Let's put this here. So the f of x, so that's 3 minus 2x. Okay, any idea how we do this? Let's put that down there. They would have to be equal to each other. So this is a tricky one, to say the least. So let's say the g of f of x. So the g of the f of x. Well, what is the f of x? I just put it down here. This was part A. And so we have to find the g of 3 minus 2x. Any idea how you do that? So you have to sub the whole of that into g. So you can see how g of x equals, and it's now g of 3 minus 2x equals. Exactly. Perfect. Okay, so that's the g of f of x. How about the f of x? Yeah. So you're just replacing the x with 3 minus 2x. So, okay, that's that. And then, how do we do this part C thing? Yeah. And now this is the thing we have to solve. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just expand all the brackets and stuff first, because you might have to just end up bringing it back again. Yeah. Uh, 2 times 2. Yeah. Don't forget that. Minus times minus. Yeah. So what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What type of equation is this? So it's now a quadratic because just the highest power of x is 2. So how do you solve a quadratic? Yes, even before that. You would first have to make it equal to 0. Yeah. Calculator, what is minus 12 minus 4? Yeah. That's it. Okay. Is there any idea how we do this? That would be, it wouldn't be numbers that add up to 16. They'd have to add to make 16. They'd have to sum to make 16. What would they multiply to make? Multiply to make 4 times 7. Yeah. So it'd be factors of 28. So just numbers that multiply to make 28. think so. And they have to make minus 16. Mm-hmm. That's it. Factorize the first two. And there's something else they have in common as well. Uh, 2x. Yeah. And so this one has to have the same bracket. And so for that to make a minus 1, yeah. Because it's the same thing twice, that's like, 2a minus 7a. So you can bring the 2 minus 7 together. And so you fully factorize. So it's the 2x and the minus 7. And then that other bracket. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. So, yeah, tricky stuff. Not gonna lie to you. G of f of x, you're putting, the f of x 3 minus 2x in for x in G. F of x, you're putting it into itself. So instead of x 3 minus 2x, they're equal to each other. And then you just have the long thing of expanding all the brackets. It's a quadratic, so make it equal to 0 and then factorize and solve. Any questions there? So I think like the very beginning is the tricky part, the composite functions, but they're always going to be difficult. That was a huge one. So did we do this question? Okay. We did this one. Did we do this one? Okay, let's try this. So let me just excuse me. So I don't think that will help you, because square root 2 and square root 5, they're both prime numbers. That doesn't make it any simpler. Again, like what do you have to do, like big picture? What does this mean, rationalize the denominator? Yes, you have to make the denominator not a square root. How would you do that? What do you have to do to make the denominator not a square root? Kind of. So how would you do that? So you have to, what would you have to do to root 2 to make it not a square root anymore? Yeah. And so what would you times the top by? Yep. So that's what you do. Okay. What do you get? Yeah. Yeah. And after that? No, that would be like x and y. You can't add those together. Yes, it might be because you have plus or minus in between. You have to divide everything by 2. So it'd probably be best now, that root 20, to write it as the way you were writing it earlier, like trying to split it up. So neither of those will simplify. Anything else? Yeah. What will that become? So how would you simplify that? Root 4, root 5. Square root 4? Yeah, and that's why this is the better one. Because root 2, root 10, there's no square root for either of those numbers. But root 4, root 5, there is a square root of 4, so it's become slightly simpler. Yeah. You would divide them all 3 by 2, because it's plus or minus in between. Yeah. 3 root 2 plus root 5. That's it. So they said here, show you're working clearly. So what you can do to check your answer is your calculator does this automatically. So you can just put in 6 plus root 10 over root 2. So that's just the question. And there you go. 3 root 2 plus root 5. But they wanted it in the order we gave it, so that's fine. Rationalize the denominator. You have to multiply basically make the denominator not a square root times the bottom by itself, and then do the same to the top to keep them in proportion. Any questions about that? Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Tricky one. How do we do this? Trigonometry in general just means like triangles. So you can't use SOHCAHTOA because it's not a right angle triangle. And you can't use the cosine rule because it's not the angle between. So how would you go about this? The area of the triangle. So just want to check. Yeah. So we have that triangle. So in any triangle. Oh. There. So how could you use that? Yep. And so what are you trying to find? And how will you find that? Yeah. So AB sine C, it's any two sides and the angle between them. So just like cosine rule. And so we don't yet have this angle. And so you were correct. You would have to use the sine rule to find that angle. But what might be easy, it was just the way you were going about it, like using their sine rule. It's easier if you put the angles on top if you're trying to find an angle. So you did it the other way around. I'll just do it like that. Okay, will that be equal to it? Right. No, doesn't matter. 12.7. And so what letter is it in this question? Excuse me. So this thing, like A over sine capital A, B over sine capital B, they're always, it's the side and the opposite angle. Side and opposite angle. So this would be sine R, because that's giving you that angle. Okay, so how would you solve it? Yep. Yeah. There we go. Okay. I'll do that. Okay, so that's this angle here. Yeah. All right, so 59.818. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because that's the angle between them. That's it. So they want this to 3 sig fig. Let's do an answer. So it's a 3 sig fig. That's it, 102 centimeter squared. Yeah, so no quick way to do this one. The area of any triangle is a half times any side times any other side times sine the angle between them. To get that angle, you had to first get the other angle, and then just do 180, minus. To get this angle, it was sine rule, because we didn't have two sides and the angle between them. Sine rule, you have to match up the side and its opposite, the angle opposite that. Like A and capital A, B and capital B are opposite each other. And if you're finding an unknown angle, it's easier to put the angles on top. Any questions there? Okay, so tricky stuff, but yeah, that's tricky ones. So let's see. Okay, this one. So this one was so there's just so many parts of these questions. So it's like cosine rule to find the bottom bit, and it's going to be cosine rule because it's two sides and angle between them. You have to rearrange that and solve it to get one of those, and then you can use that to use SOHCAHTOA tan to get the top angle, and then double it to get that top angle. But real tricky. So this one, it's just substitution. Functions is just substitution. Yes, this one, inverse function. So this, it will always work. So replace the f of x with y, swap x and y, make y the subject, and then replace y with f inverse of x. Just makes it a bit simpler. So composite functions: sub a function into itself, sub another function into a function, make them equal to each other, and solve. It's just a long quadratic that you do sum factor. So they have to multiply to make AC. So not just 7 but 4 times 7. It's just that this a lot of time is 1. So this one what is your exam board? Yeah. So like, do you happen to know the exam board, like Edexcel, AQA? Oh, okay. So this, I'll have to look into it. But I looked in the. It might be that there's a brand new thing, but yeah, I wasn't sure if this should be on it either. I'll have to look into this one, like why that was there, because there's not even an A and B for Edexcel. I mean, this is all Edexcel. Yeah, rationalize the denominator, multiply the top and bottom by the denominator, and then just simplify, and your calculator can do a lot of the work for you. And then this one we just did. Yeah, how was that for you, Andrey? Yeah, so something I noticed was that a lot of it is this kind of trig, sine rule, cosine rule, like specifically those two, sine rule and cosine rule. And I think it's difficult as well because, like with inverse function, it's not like step 1, step 2, step 3. You have to slowly just keep filling in the blanks until you get there. So there's no formula or process or anything. Anything in particular you want to do next time? Okay. Any questions for me in general? Okay. Well done, Andrey. You did great. I look forward to trying again next time.